Sitting here up under the carport with my wife on a nice evening made me think of a story about something that happened to me when I was a kid. Thought I'd share it with you guys on YouTube. Long about the time I was 12 or 13 years old, had a friend up the street named Alan New who worked with an elderly couple about a mile down the road from us. Their names were Mr. and Mrs. Castro. They were on up in years, about 90, I guess. Very friendly couple. Every time they went up and down the road, they were waving at everybody on either side of the road, and very nice people. As I said, he worked for them, and he told me about they needed some help around the house doing some chores, out in the yard primarily, and so he looked into it and told Mr. Castro about me, and they told me to show up at around 8 o'clock in the morning the next day. So I got on my bike and rode down there, and Alan and Mr. Castro were working at the driveway opening there out on the highway, and Mr. Castro told me to take the driveway on back to their house. They lived about a mile back off the road. Take the driveway on back off the road, and when I got there to help his wife out, whatever she needed for me to do around the yard, and he said, "I don't know whether the dogs will be out or not." Said, if they are out, you just stop in your tracks and you call out for her, and she'll come put them up for you. So they had a reputation for owning some pretty rough dogs. They were Doberman pinchers, and I was a little apprehensive about driving down the driveway, but I wanted to work for them, make a little spending money, and so I drove down that mile-long driveway, and I was praying all the way that those dogs would be put up so that I wouldn't have to deal with them. And rode on. Didn't think I'd ever get there, and then finally I came over a little rise, and about that time, when those dogs saw me, they came running wide open, and I stepped down off of my bicycle and stood there beside of it, and I began to call for Mrs. Castro as loud as I could. Mr. Castro failed to mention that she was about deaf, and if it wasn't for the barking of the dogs, she probably never would have come out, but she heard them out there making a ruckus, and one little old fella that was scared to death and about to pass out from fear, with about 4 Doberman pinchers surrounding him, barking, showing their teeth. When she called for the dogs, though, they came on, and when I went on up to the house, she said, "I have some things for you to do around the yard." And so I worked for her all that day. Got there about 8 and worked till about 4 that afternoon. And what I failed to mention at the beginning of the story were they were very rich people. It was also known in the community that they had quite a bit of money, and so I was happy to be able to work for them and expected to be paid well. And at the end of the day, she handed me $4.50 an hour, and I found out real quick why they had so much money is because they didn't want to let go of any of it. But anyway, I worked with them that day, and after my pay and after what happened with the dogs, I decided that it'd be in my best interest to find me some work doing something else. thought I'd share this story about Mr. and Mrs. Castro. Nice people, but uh, they were very tight with their money and had a lot of it. Thanks for listening, and you guys take care.